Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're entering the world of social skills, and I'm going to give you a very powerful way in order to boost rapport. The inside joke. When I was in the 11th grade, there was a period when I was taking Spanish class, and my teacher was this lady named Miss Darna. See, Miss Darna liked me, but she didn't really like me like that. She liked me as Arman the person, but she hated me as the student because she would go ahead and teach all these Spanish lectures, and it was just flying over my head. But it wasn't just flying over my head, it was flying over a bunch of the other students' heads, besides one kid. And this kid's name was Guy. G-U-I. And apparently there's a different way to pronounce it, but the classmates knew him as Guy. At times we resented Guy because he could already speak Spanish, so we didn't know why he was taking Spanish classes. He should be taking French classes. And Ms. Darna would use him as the staple of measurement. See kids, look at Guy. He understands the material. How come you guys don't? And we're just thinking, well, it's because he speaks Spanish. What gives? There was an issue though. At the end of the semester, we had an important exam to take. And unless we could pass the exam, chances were that we would need to take Spanish again the next year. So this was a huge issue because we didn't even want to take it this year. After classes, me and a bunch of the guys, we would go to this Chinese buffet around the area, and we would just eat like a lot of the young kids do. And one day we were eating and we were talking. We're like, guys, we need to do something because we're really bad in Spanish and we need to pass this exam. What are we gonna do? And that's when one of the guys had an idea. Hey, did you guys notice that Guy always sits by himself? It doesn't really seem like he has any friends. How about we began to invite him to eat at these buffets with us? And we thought this was a great idea. So the next day, we convinced Guy to come with us. He joined us in this buffet, and the guys, the usual guys, we were filling up our plates with a bunch of food. But Guy came with 3 pieces of chicken, and he drizzled a sauce on it in a very fancy sort of way. He had some lettuce, and he put it in a very fancy sort of way. He got his drink, and he's like, may I get it chilled, no ice please, in a very fancy sort of way. And as he sat with us, he wasn't saying much. But that's when one of the kids from the table was like, Guy, who eats like that at a buffet? You know, you have a new nickname, Fancy Boy. And the rest of the table just bust out laughing. We're like, yeah, Guy, from now on, you're Fancy Boy. And Guy wasn't used to this much attention on him. So he's like, come on, guys. Nah, I'm not fancy. He's saying it like that. But that name stuck. The next day, we go to class. We're over here joking around. Guy's sitting by himself. And that's when one of the people were like, yo, Fancy Boy, sit with us. So Guy sits with us. Later on, we're joking in the cafeteria. And we're like, yo, Fancy Boy, I like your shoes. And we just kept calling him Fancy Boy. And that's when a few of the girls were like, why are you guys just calling him Fancy Boy for? And that's when me and the rest of the guys, we looked at Guy and we're like, we can't tell you. It's an inside joke. That inside joke warmed up Guy to us, and he eventually began to tutor us. Where Ms. Darna was teaching Spanish in a very complex sort of way, Guy was teaching it in a very common sense sort of way. And we were capable of learning so freaking much. And we ended up passing that final exam. So that's when I learned that if you have an inside joke, what it does is that it creates a bond. It forcefully creates that bond, especially when you're not telling outsiders about it. There's this insulator. You guys are in this house together, and every now and then others want to break in this house because other people want to know. Plenty of these girls just kept coming to us, and we're like, all right, come on. Just tell me at least. Why do you call him Fancy Boy for? But none of us were breaking this pact. But here's the thing. Every now and then what happens is that you do break the pact. And if you break the pact in a way where it's not appropriate, then the friendship can hinder, or they just look at you a little differently. This whole inside joke situation, I'm pretty much just saying it on this YouTube video because I don't talk to those folks anymore. This was back in 11th grade. But let's flash back to 11th grade. And let's say I'm chilling with these folks and we're all, we know the Fancy Boy inside joke. And then one day, one girl is really badgering me about it. And I tell her the origin story of Fancy Boy without the other people's permission. I have lost a lot of rapport in my group's perception. They're going to be like, oh, look at Armani. He's capable of just spilling secrets like that to an outsider. Oh, okay, we can't trust him with other stuff. So the inside joke, it has a lot of benefits in terms of speeding up rapport, but at the same time, it can hurt rapport if you're leaking it to outsiders. So use this social move very wisely because it can help you out a lot. If we didn't pass that Spanish exam, I mean, in some ways, my life would have been a tad bit different. And you know what they say in the grand scheme of things? A tad bit different, added up in years, definitely adds up. So Guy saved me a lot of time, and my friendship with Guy was born through a simple inside joke. Thank you very much for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you next time.